In the flashbacks, on a sunny day before the chaos of Latveria, Dave Colton, carrying the weight of disappointment and heartbreak on his shoulders, walks slowly toward his childhood home. Every step feels heavier than the last as memories of better days flicker through his mind. When he finally reaches the familiar old door and knocks, it swings open, and there stands his mother. His mother gets super excited and overwhelmed and hugs her kid. The moment her eyes fall on him, everything else fades. Her expression shifts from surprise to overwhelming emotion as tears gather instantly. Without a word, she rushes forward, wrapping her arms around him so tightly, it feels like she's trying to hold the broken pieces of him together. She pulls him out of the doorway, embracing him as if afraid he might vanish again. In that warm, trembling hug, Dave finally feels a piece of his world stop falling apart. Coming back to the Latveria mission, Captain America is confused and worried about what Dave is saying. He tries to stop Doom's commandos who are trying to hurt the people protesting. Captain asks them to prevail peace and go home as the man giving them orders is no longer here. After hearing this, the soldiers run away, but Dr. Doom is not done yet. Captain America is concerned about Dave and his enraging behavior, and he needs to stop him as soon as possible before he kills any Latverian, which can lead to bigger problems. Cap needs to go to the soldiers' barracks as he believes Dave must be headed there. He asks Marius. Marius, disheartened by the Latverian commandos, curses them to death and unwillingly helps Captain, suggesting he go there immediately before anything bad happens. Captain America asks for a bike. Suddenly, a commando hears from the barracks that Captain America, Dave, has attacked the barracks. They think he will be taken down by the commandos, which will make Doom happy. Suddenly, one commando gets shot, and it's Chill. She asks for the barracks location. Back to the quiet and emotional scene with Dave and his mother. The two sit across from each other at the old wooden kitchen table, steam rising gently from their mugs of tea. The house feels still, almost too still, compared to the chaos Dave has lived through. His mother watches him carefully, noticing the way his eyes avoid hers, the subtle tension in his shoulders, the heaviness in his breaths. They begin talking about his work, at first lightly, then sinking into the darker truth of what he has witnessed over the years. Dave tries to explain, haltingly, what war really looks like beyond television screens. The villages turned to dust, the soldiers who never come home, the screams that settle into a man's memory long after the battlefield is quiet. Dave speaks quietly, almost as if afraid of his own words. His mother listens, though her heart aches. She is still, in some hidden corner of herself, angry that he left so quickly to join the army after 9/11, angry that her boy ran toward a fire instead of away from it. But time has softened the edge of that anger. What remains now is worry, sorrow, and the unspoken fear of how much her son has changed. Dave explains that he joins believing he can do good, believing he can help bring justice, stability, and freedom where chaos rules. But that idealism, that hope, is what eventually breaks him. After everything he endures in the army and the horrors he recently witnesses in Latveria, he feels as though something inside him has cracked. He tries to put it into words, but pain sits behind every sentence, every pause. His mother reaches out, gently placing her hand on him, sensing how deeply his wounds run, far deeper than anything physical. In that moment, with tea cooling between them and years of silence finally beginning to unwind, Dave feels both exposed and strangely relieved. For the first time in a long while, he realizes he's not carrying the weight alone. Now we are back to see what happens in Latveria. Captain America is now riding a bike to go to Dave. On his way, he sees the girl Dave saved, sitting in the middle, scared and helpless. Captain America offers her help and tells her he will safely get her out of here. Cap asks for the evacuation team from General Ross while he moves into the barracks, where Captain sees Dave Colton has already killed all the soldiers. Dave justifies his act. He thinks all these soldiers are evil and took the freedom away from their own people. Captain thinks Dave needs help. Not all these soldiers are the same. Some are scared or defending their country like true soldiers. This is not a war. They are on a rescue mission. It's not their call to kill those soldiers. Dave tries to kill another soldier, but Cap interferes and stops him, throwing his shield to stop his shield. Both get into a fight. Chill gets to the site, fully injured and soaked in blood, and she aims at both Captain Americas. Dave gets in front of the bullet, saves Steve Rogers, and hits the shield to Chill. Dave is shot and dying. Steve takes him into his hands. And out of time, Steve doesn't know anything about CPR. Dave shares all the truth with Steve. He shares that their own government backed Doom and helped him overthrow King Vladimir. And he asks Steve to tell his mother that losing him is totally worth it. The rescue soldiers are just here to help them, but it's too late now. David is no more. He's gone. Back to his mother's place in flashbacks, his mother comes down just to see David has left the house and left her a letter note where he describes his feelings. He has gone to kill the right people to have freedom for the deserving ones. But killing is not as simple as it seems. It has made him a killer, and he cannot live with it in peace. 1 month later, we see David at the hospital having a surgery. General Ross is looking over the surgery from the glass window when Steve appears handcuffed. General Ross asks the soldiers to get off his handcuffs. Ross inquires about Steve walking into the forest recently. After knowing the truth from David, Steve, in a teasing and sarcastic mood, hits on Ross. He thinks America is far away from being the perfect country, but there are still fights worth having for the people of the country and the world. He accuses Ross of overthrowing the government in Latveria in exchange for technology resources from Dr. Doom. Steve asks for a discharge from Ross and says he will serve the people of the country where needed and will only work for Ross in selected missions as per his choice, and he threatens him if he hides anything from him again. Ross denies his permission, as Steve is military property, and threatens him. The argument becomes heated between the two until Tony Stark appears from behind and calls Steve Rogers. He joins Steve and starts teasing Ross too, asking him to grant Captain America his well-deserved retirement. Tony Stark shuts Ross down, pointing to his latest shipment to the US Army, threatening in twisted words and using his old typical sarcasm about shutting down his business that could fold the entire US Army supply. Steve and Stark then go away from the scene, making Ross extremely angry. Stark offers Steve a drink with him. Here, Steve doesn't know that Tony Stark is Iron Man. Stark sends Steve to Iron Man, which is him. Iron Man meets with Steve. Apparently, Steve has now joined the Avengers team and left the army. For Steve, the Avengers' missions and values align with him, which is helping people and saving the world. Iron Man tells him about the dinner at 5 p.m. because Thor needs to leave for the concert, which is strange for the God of Thunder. It's a new beginning for Steve. He believes the future is strange as he misses his old friend Bucky, but still vows to keep fighting.